All right, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Sorry we missed a video last week. This isn't our day job, so kind of had a busy week last week. Actually, that was kind of my fault. But we're getting a video in this week. So again, we try to do it every week and really appreciate the subscriptions. And, again, we're just waiting on that feedback. Anything y'all want to bring up in the comments, we're happy to field questions or comments or anything like that. So yeah, we're looking forward to hearing from all of you. But here we are again, Josh and Matt. And Josh, hey, how you doing, man?
Hey, missed, like you said, missed last week, here this week, can't complain. It's for all y'all that don't know, we're down here in Texas and it is hot. We're in the dog days, baby. The dog days right now. And it is hot out here. It is super hot. But football is about to start. All the fall festivities. I'm just waiting for that kind of get September over with real quick, and then we can just kind of jump into that cool weather. But
Oh
enough
yeah,
about all that. But other than that, trying to stay cool and easy, and yeah, that's what it is.
exactly. Yeah, August is super hot, very brutal every year. Um,
Oh,
which is funny because June and July weren't too bad this year. And I imagine that's because of probably the hurricane that happened earlier in the year. I think that kind of gave us a little bit more of a mild summer, at least in those first couple months. But now it's more of what we're used to, where it is just scorching hot. So,
oh yeah, yeah. AC can't keep up, and oh man, it's just brutal, brutal,
yeah.
brutal. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The AC's on overdrive, man. It's just,
Oh yeah,
it's working
it just
overtime.
yeah, it never stops. It's just on there. I feel bad for it. I really do. It's just like, oh man,
It might get an anxiety
yeah,
attack.
it might get an anxiety attack. Yeah, yeah. If it could speak, that's what it'd probably be. It'd just be freaking out right now.
It'd be
Yeah,
freaking out.
just
Yeah.
the circuit board just be going crazy. You know what I mean? It just yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Speaking of that, I know you were talking last time about kind of feeling those feelings a little bit more again. How has that been going for you?
It's yeah. These past 2 weeks have been good. Um, uh, Come to find out, it might be something. And when I say medical, I don't mean like something horrible or anything like that. But I do think I'm going to go. My what you call it, primary care doctor. They're like, oh yeah, you probably need to level you out a little bit. So that does make a lot of sense of kind of what I've been feeling a little bit. So uh get me on some vitamins and stuff like that, trying to level out these well, we're kind of like a car. That's kind of how I see it, and you gotta kind of flush the system and do all this stuff. So plus getting as much as I don't want to, because I don't even think it, in my mind I feel like I'm still 20 or something, but I'm getting into my late 30s, and I gotta start. I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta start taking my vitamins, my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday pills, you know what I mean? Just to stay stay right, man. You know?
Oh yeah.
And so that's the doc's is like, oh, are you drinking enough water? Are you taking enough vitamins? I'm like, doc, like, come on. Of course, yeah, but I'm not, right? I gotta drink more water. But I gotta be more conscious about it now, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's crazy, but I swear, like overnight it happened. Like my body just changed, and it like went from 20 to like 50 real quick. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
I am really I'm fretting about I mean, I'm not like panicking over it, but I do think about, man, when I get to 50, shoot, man. I hope they come up with some like crazy invention to like slow this down, because I'm gonna be in pain, and It's going to take me 30 minutes to get out of the car and walk into the grocery store. You know what I mean? It's going to be
Right.
it's going to be brutal.
You're gonna have to get one of those cars where you sit down and ride around,
Yeah, just ride around.
little
Yeah, yeah,
electric ones.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That my belt be too big. Just flopping, dragging on the floor. And just yeah, my Velcro
Yeah,
shoes.
speaking of where we live, our diet in this region is not the best, right? I mean, we
Yeah.
we come from a burgers and beer and barbecue type of environment. So
Yes. Yes. This protein overload down here. Yes. That's yeah. If you ain't got like 3 pounds of protein on your plate, yeah. I don't like who is that guy? Where are you from? Yeah.
yeah.
So
Actually, I'm not sure if you knew this, but I was vegetarian for a few years, and there's times where I've thought about doing it again, but I haven't gotten back to that yet. But I'm telling you, man, people around this area would get like offended at me being vegetarian, And it wasn't like I was trying to tell them that they needed to change or anything. It would just be like, could be even my own family, like I would just be out at like a family gathering and they'd have like a big spread, and then someone would notice that I'm not picking up meat and they're like, "What's wrong, Matt? Like you not eating any meat?" And I'm like, "No, no, I'm vegetarian." And they're like, "What's wrong with you?" Like, dude,
yeah,
like
yeah,
almost like they were like, "Oh, well, I mean, are you like uh, from a different planet or something?" I don't know. Like people really just got so jacked up about that. Of like, I
yeah,
know they were just like taken aback by it. Of like, how do you not eat meat? But anyway, it's just funny.
yeah, yeah. I could only imagine if I were to do that at dinner table growing up or something like that. Like, hell's wrong with you, boy?
Yeah, exactly, like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh man, yeah. But you know, we're getting into that, man. I'm very intrigued about the title "In the World but Not of the World." I
Hmm.
love that title. I mean, I like it so much. Like I'd put it on a shirt, man. Like I really do like it. Like I could see it put in the world, and then in the back it says like, but not of the world or something. I don't know, but
Yeah,
I like that.
exactly.
It really makes me think, and I like that. I like that. Did you have any
Yeah,
thoughts on that title?
yeah, yeah. I kind of threw that out there because I've been thinking about some of the talks we've had and then just books that I've been reading and stuff like that of like, um, if you really want to attain that level of awakening or enlightenment, does it require you to leave the world as we know it? Meaning physically go to some other place and, become a monk or something like that, right? Like, is that what it's going to
Hmm.
take to really get to that level? Or can it be done even, in this world that we live in right now where we're working, jobs and family and all that stuff. And I continue to believe that it can be done even in this world that we live in. I don't think it's easy, but I think it can absolutely be done. And I think it just requires making decisions for yourself that, maybe other people aren't making, but you're doing it to live in that enlightened, awakened state of being. And well, shoot, man, this might be a good time to tell you now, kind of one of those decisions that I've actually made. Um,
Yeah.
and this is one thing that I've gone back and forth with so much, and I don't know like which way I've wanted to go with it. Whether this way is right or wrong or whatever. But I'm gonna give not drinking a try. I'm
Really?
gonna go for that. Yeah, I'm gonna go
Oh,
for that.
okay. Very cool,
because
man.
and it's a huge step, I feel like, but I just I feel like it's hindering me from taking that next step and like really um I feel like it clouds my mind a lot. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I feel dull. I feel like I can't see things as they should be seen. And I kind of go back into that unconscious state of being, especially the more that I drink, which I think anyone would, right? It obviously affects you like that. And yeah, recently I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just try not even doing that, and it's gonna be tough. It's kind of like what I was talking about with the vegetarian thing. Like, I'm sure I'm gonna be at certain events, and people are gonna be like looking at me weird, like, why aren't you having a beer or a cocktail or whatever? But
Yeah.
it's just one of those things where it's like, hey, this is one of those steps that I'm taking to kind of live on a different plane. And that doesn't mean that I'm better than anyone else. It's just that's what I feel like I need to do to stay in that state of mind that I want to be in, or I should say state of being, to use our terminology.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I really want to be the being and not um, have the mind control as much, I feel like that's one of
Mm.
the steps I need to take. So it's kind of a big step. It's kind of something that I've uh, not wanted to do for the longest time,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
um, but I'm gonna do it. So
Very cool, man. Well, I gotta tell you, the past man, probably month, I haven't sipped on anything. Matter of fact, I think the last time I sipped on something was maybe one of the first talks that we did. That's probably the last time I sipped on something.
oh yeah, okay.
Um,
So wow,
yeah,
that's a while.
it had, because I felt a little out of whack, and
Well, and I guess
I
you
was
had
like,
the medical stuff kind of going on too.
yeah, so just not knowing what was going on. So I was like, well, if I cut that out, I know that's a positive. If I can cut that out, just what it can do to the body. You know what I mean? Like the next day and stuff, or even mentally. Um, getting into like drinking. If I sit there and I have one or two, it'll do what I guess what initially I've set out for it to do, which was kind of like calm me down, sedate me a little bit, and I'm just, I'm more relaxed. But often, two turns into three and three turns into four. And then that's when I'm really feeling it the next day. And then I'm like, damn, you know,
Yeah.
why'd I do that? And yeah. But yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, uh, us having little ones and stuff, they wake up early and you got to be ready, you know what I mean? And yeah, it's just uh yeah, I mean, just with me not doing it the past what 3 4 weeks, I just felt a lot more productive, like you said, like a lot more in control, because I'm not coming in and out. I wake up focused, I go to sleep focused, and yeah, uh, cutting that out, yeah, it's hard, it's rough, especially with our surroundings,
Oh yeah.
uh no, man, I'm proud of you, brother.
No, I appreciate that, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just one of those things that and same thing, you know how it is. You have three, four, five, or whatever, and again, like you said, you wake up the next day and it's just hell on earth, and you talk about anxiety. I get anxiety, from the hangovers, and uh man, that can get pretty bad. And I've had that happen. Speaking of that, I've even had that happen where, I've been on trips, or I've had to have meetings, work related meetings and stuff like that. And maybe we had like a night out with colleagues and stuff like that the night before. And then the next day, you've got meetings, but maybe you had too much the night before. And I remember one, it was like the first time I was meeting with a really important client, and yeah, I had too much fun the night before with some of my colleagues, and you know, they were going just as much as I was, and they must have been faking it as much as I was the next day, or maybe they didn't feel it like I did. But I'm telling you, and within my being, I was freaking out, man. I mean, I was like totally on edge. I was like visibly shaking like this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, I'm sitting in my chair and like I'm like, if I would be surprised if someone's not noticing me like shaking like an old man right now, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like looking around like, in the conference room, just kind of like, just kind of freaking out. And I'm having to answer all these like questions and talk about things. And inside I'm like, at any moment I'm just gonna drop dead. And like they're all
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
look at me and just be like, what happened to that guy?
Yeah, yeah.
Like because my
I,
heart was just racing. And I'm
oh
man,
man.
dude, I was like, this is not how it needs to go right now.
Man, ain't that the worst? Like, yeah, when you're just sit there and you're trapped, and that's man, yeah, you're there, and you got all these eyeballs you feel like that are on you, and and you're trying to be as normal as possible, but like there's no way I'm looking normal right now,
Yeah.
and you're trying to keep it in. Oh man, dude, that is so suffocating, man. Ah, jeez. Uh Man, I'm thinking about so when I was working for the power company, um, I would at that time when I was having it all the time, like I would get in there, I would be in the truck, and that was one of my triggers. Like I couldn't be in the truck, I couldn't be anything. Like I had to be moving,
Oh
and
yeah.
if I was in the truck, like I would have like ticks, so I would like hunch forward and maybe I'd roll down the window and maybe man, I don't know, maybe I used to like rub my head a lot. It was just something like I had like ticks, you know what I mean? And like my little rituals and stuff, and and like I don't know why, but I would like burp too. Like my breathing was all messed up, right? So my chest would be getting tight, and then all of a sudden, like I would have to like try to burp to try to like decompress the chest and stuff, and like sometimes people just be looking at me like, "What the hell's wrong with this guy, man? Like he's gonna take us right over this bridge. I already know it. Like
Oh, were you
he's already made
driving?
up his mind. Oh yeah, I'm driving. Just
I didn't know you were driving too.
yeah, yeah. I'm the one
You're
driving.
just
Yeah, I'm just doing that. And dude, we're in these massive trucks. So, and the same thing I'm thinking. I'm like, man, dude, I'm going 70 down the road in this massive truck, work vehicle, and like I'm gonna just like croak over, right? And then just like take out like 20 cars. I'm just,
oh yeah,
you know,
exactly.
but I've also had like where I'd be like in a room or something like that, and I'm like, man, like I'm about to die. Like I'm really about to fall over. And like, how am I gonna do this? Like like I'm just gonna like clutch my chest and just fall down to the floor and just hope that, obviously that'll be enough for somebody to like call the ambulance. But then I would be thinking to myself, okay, what if I do that and then like nothing's happening and people are like, what the is wrong with this guy? But you're playing all those things in your head. So man,
Oh yeah,
you in that situation, oh my goodness.
yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of calling an ambulance, I've done that before. I've freaked out and just called one. Because I
Yeah.
was like, I'm gonna fall over and die right away. And I need an ambulance here now. And I remember calling one to my front yard one time, and everybody in the neighborhood comes out because they've got the sirens coming on down the street and everything. And I'm sitting there like in the front lawn, just like sitting down, like waiting for the ambulance to come, and everyone's looking at me like, "What's up? What's wrong with this guy?"
Yeah. And the whole
And
thing that when they're looking at you, you look perfectly normal, right? So
yeah,
yeah, you're just kind of looking around.
yeah. and I remember I got in the back of the ambulance and they checked my vitals and they were like, "Yeah, you're good. You know, there's nothing wrong with you." And I remember they were kind of looking at me like, "This guy's weird. You know, like
Yeah,
he's
yeah, yeah,
perfectly fine." You know?
yeah, yeah.
And I remember even after that, the ambulance left and I started freaking out again. And I got in my car and I drove up to the emergency room. And I
Mm.
was like, "Hey, I need to see a doctor real quick." And they were like, "Okay, what's wrong?" And I was like, I've got heart problems and like, I feel like I'm gonna fall over and die."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then the weird thing is like, it started because sometimes it'll kind of come in waves,
Oh
and
yeah,
so it kind of started to like die down a little bit and
yeah.
suppress a little bit. And so I told the lady at the front desk, I was like, "Oh, actually, wait a minute." Like I was in the middle of filling out paperwork right in front of her, and I was like, "Wait a minute." And I like set the pen and pad down, and I was like, "Actually, I think I'm gonna be all right. I think I'm okay."
You just casually walk across the street to McDonald's, you know.
Yeah. I
Get a
was
number
like,
one,
my
please.
my bad.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, my bad. Yeah, yeah.
You have a
Can I
good
put
day.
the, yeah, can I just put this in the shredder? It's got my information on there. Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't want anyone to know about this.
yeah, there you go about this. Yeah, yeah, burn this. Um, no, I had a similar situation. So I had, yeah, freaked out. And okay, I was at the mall and I was with some friends. We had been drinking the night before, or yeah, the night before. It was like a Sunday. It was Sunday morning, mid morning. We go to the mall for some reason, just to walk around, kill time, right? Well, I could feel some stuff coming on, and this was kind of like when it was in almost in its infant stage. Well, not infant stage. It was leading up, like the volcano was about to blow, and yeah, we had went to Denny's after the mall. Some one of the friends had to like get something at the mall, right? So then we go to no IHOP. It was IHOP. We're
Hmm.
at IHOP, and I'm eating there, and there's like everybody's crowded around and eating, and I'm just not. I'm just feeling really weird, kind of wigging out. And then I make it through that, trying to act normal, right? And then I get outside, and I'm with one of my friends, and I'm like, call the ambulance, call them right now. And they're like, whoa, what's going on? I'm like, I'm about to die. Like, I think I'm about to have a heart attack. Just kind of similar, like what you said, right? So then the ambulance comes,
Wow.
and my heart's racing and all that stuff, chest tight. I'm starting to feel kind of tingly and numb and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, they get me in there, check the vitals, and they're like, dude, yeah, your heartbeat's up, but I mean, your vitals are fine. Like, you just need to calm down.
Right.
You're
Yeah. Just
fine.
calm down.
Yeah, just calm down, dude. Like, you're good. So they're like, we can take you to the hospital if you want, but they're just going to tell you what we're telling you. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I did feel it brought maybe a percentage or two because they're saying I'm fine. Sorry, but I didn't feel fine, right? And uh, they leave, so I'm like, okay, never mind. I'm still with my friend, and then I say, right when they leave, 3 minutes later, I'm like, oh shit, call the ambulance, call them back. So yeah, so like, and then, but they're gonna charge me like, I don't know, $700-800 because I didn't have
Oh
insurance.
yeah. It's so
So I'm
expensive.
like, yeah, so I can't do that. So I tell him, I said, man, I jumped into his car. I said, man, let's just hit the first hospital we see, right?
Hmm.
So that was back then. I mean, I think I maybe had a flip phone, but you can't get directions back then. You just I think there's a hospital over there. Let's just drive over there.
Yeah.
Man, we jump on the frontage road. We jump onto the highway, and as he jump onto the highway, I'm like, man, I'm just trying to get out of the car. Oh, 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 dude, I'm wigging out, man. I think I was wigging out so much, I was starting to hear like, I'm like looking over and stuff like that, and yeah, and I'm starting to
Man.
scratch myself and stuff. Like I was just ticking real bad, freaking out. And I'm like, dude, I gotta get out of your car. I gotta get out of your car. So he pulls. We're on the highway. He gets back onto the side road. You know, as he's getting off the ramp, like I see like a row of stores, like a shopping center to my right. You know, he's pulling off, and I swear, dude, he was still going about 15, 20 miles an hour, and I could not wait anymore. So I jumped out of the car and did like
Are you kidding
the
me?
feet. No, you did that, but I made it into the grass before I tumbled and blah, 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 like that. And I could see him like, what the hell? I just jumped out of the car, and doors flying open, you know, and flinging as he's still going. And then, dude, I get up and I just beeline it to the shopping center. Like I would run.
Wow.
And the first store I hit,
That's
the
that
first store I hit,
movement is medicine, right?
yeah, movement is everything. And I'm just running to the store. First one I see, it was like a shop where of like dresses, where girls go get like prom dresses or something like that, like fitted stuff. I hit it, bust in there, dude. I fall on the floor. I'm like, oh, there it is, man. I'm having a heart attack, you know. And dude, like I bust in, like so they think I'm just probably some transient that just came off the highway, you know.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, you know, me trying not to be in the ambulance comes, picks me up,
Oh,
and then
wow.
I'm there. So I'm paying the seven, whatever, how much it costs. They drive me 3 minutes down the road to the nearest hospital. Dang, I'm
Right.
like 3 minutes away. I couldn't make 3 more minutes.
You
And
could have ran there probably.
yeah, I could have ran there. So and then the embarrassing thing was I'm just sitting in the stretcher, right? And they're rolling me through the ER. They're rolling me through the ER, dude, with all these things on me, and I'm just like sitting there, just kind of like looking at everybody. They're like, what you know what I mean? Because you look normal, and they're like, what? Like, dude, this guy
Yeah.
he's got to be on drugs or something, you know?
Right.
Like, yeah, like there's obviously something wrong with him. Yeah, man, and yeah, jeez. So yeah, the ambulance, man.
Oh yeah. See, you've been right there too. I didn't even realize that that happened to you. Yeah. So exactly. Very similar experiences. Man, you know,
Um,
not to go too long on this thing, but it just reminds me of one more story that I had where I was going on a business trip years ago, and you know, I had not been on a plane in a very long time, and so it was my first time in years, and you know, I got back on it, and I didn't think, you know, because I had been on planes so many times when I was a kid, never bothered me. I had flown overseas multiple times to different countries in Europe and all that stuff. Never bothered me. Never had any issue flying in a plane. But for whatever reason, you know, once I hit like 30, it was like this new fear that just came up out of nowhere. And
mm,
I didn't even know I had the fear until I got on that plane for the first time again. So like I'm thinking I'm going to be fine just like I had always been. And then, you know, we're starting to go down the runway and starting to pick up speed, and I'm feeling all right, and you know, we take off and everything, but you know, maybe probably 20 minutes into the flight, I start flipping out. Like, dude, I'm gonna have a heart attack, and no one can save me because I'm however many thousand feet in the air, and there's
yeah,
no way they're gonna just be able to nosedive it and land it and get me to a hospital. Like, there's
yeah,
no way, you
yeah.
know.
You ain't the president.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, no, no.
They're just gonna be like, oh, well, if he makes it, he makes it. If he don't, he don't. You know?
Yeah, he's like,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah,
you know, one down is not a big deal.
yeah, yeah,
In the grand scheme of things, right? If we
yeah,
lose
yeah.
one, you know.
We lose one. Yeah,
You know, just put that's like the one little statistic for the year, you know, and all the
yeah.
rest of the flights have been safe, so we're good.
Everything's good.
Yeah.
We can keep that
So
under 1%. We're fine. Yeah,
yeah.
we've been doing good year. We can lose one. It's fine. Matter of
Yeah,
fact, we'll
man. So
just yeah,
no, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but so I'm flipping out, and then I'm claustrophobic too with everything, and I'm stuck in this fuselage, and I have nowhere to go, and I'm thousands of feet in the air, and dude, my heart is just pumping out of my chest. So the first thing I do is I decide to go to the bathroom and just like throw water on my face. And
Mm.
then I'm just in there in the bathroom, like almost hyperventilating. And I'm just like staring at myself in the mirror. And I'm like, dude, you got to get yourself straight, you know? And I'm like,
Yeah. I
like,
was
you
just
got to,
thinking, I was just thinking like you're in there and you're just throwing water on your face, and then you look up at yourself and you're like, you're really throwing water from the toilet, you know? You're like, oh shit, you know?
yeah,
Yeah, I know. But yeah,
drinking it.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, you got to get it
Yeah.
together. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And, yeah. So I was just flipping out, and I'm sure people around me probably thought nothing was going on because you look normal on the outside, but inside you're just completely freaking out. And so, I of course made it through the flight, but I mean, throughout the whole flight, I was this close, this close. I mean, I'm surprised I didn't do it. I was so close to going to one of the flight attendants and being like, "Hey, you got to land the plane. Like, you have to land the plane right now.
yeah, yeah,
Like, I got to get off." Kind of like how you were in the car, where
yeah,
you're like,
yeah,
"I got to get out of the car." Like that's how it
yeah,
was. I'm like, dude, I can't be in here anymore. Like I
yeah,
have to be able to like roam the earth. I have to walk and run and like feel like I'm touching ground.
yeah.
Uh, dude, it was really bad. So then to add on to that, once I actually get over to this place I'm going to and having these business meetings and everything, um, I'm inside of a meeting and I just start flipping out. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna drop dead right here in front of everybody, and it's just they're gonna be like, what's up with this guy?
Yeah,
So I was like, okay, well, wait a minute, I can save myself. So like in the middle of the meeting, I just get up and I don't even take my laptop or anything. I just leave it there on the desk in front of me, and I get up, I beeline it to my rental car outside, and then I just take off to the emergency room and get, I go in and I'm having severe chest pains. So obviously, when you say something like that, they put you to the front of the
oh yeah,
line. So then they're checking everything and kind of like this is what reminded me of it. How you said you had all the stuff on you on the stretcher. They
yeah,
they did a similar thing to me, and they had me like all hooked up and all this stuff and they ran like so many different tests and I was there all day. I mean, I was there up until nighttime.
yeah, yeah,
And lo and behold, they come back and they're like, "You're good.
yeah.
Like you're a-okay with everything." And I'm
You're
like,
like, there's no way, man. Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah,
like I'm like, dude, no, like you don't know what I was going through,
yeah,
and
yeah,
just to realize that the mind can do that to you, it's
mm,
it's insane, man.
yeah. Yeah,
You know,
yeah. As you know, as I'm getting older now, and talking with the doctors and stuff like that, much as I don't want to believe it, it's just, yeah, I have to be, like I said, being more conscious of taking care of my body, because that's something that triggers me, is sensations that I feel. And and now, because of, I don't know if this is directly linked, but I am more in tune with myself. As we become more silent, we start to notice things and stuff like that. So, I'll notice something. I maybe notice it could be something like a weird headache. I ain't felt that before, and maybe it triggers, and all of a sudden I feel a pain in my left hand at the same time or something. And then I'll start, my mind starts getting involved, and it's like, hey, that's not right, or, oh, you got pain in your left arm. You know what that means, and then all of a
yeah,
sudden it just, shoot. And then all of a sudden I get a weird pain in my chest, and I'm like, oh man, like my body's about, like organs are failing. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, like I'm at DEFCON 4. You know what I mean? I'm about to implode. Um,
yeah,
yeah, but uh, that's one of my main. If something were to happen, especially before, it was, like I would feel something, and then my mind would just take over, and I just knew something medically was wrong with me, and I was going to drop dead at any second.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But
It's
but
it's intense. And like we talked about in the first video, um, I mean, I'm so grateful we found a way to overcome this.
Mhm.
Obviously, it doesn't mean we never feel those feelings ever again. Like you said, they've come up a little bit for you recently, and sometimes I'll feel it too. It's not nearly to the extent that we're talking about now.
Right.
Now I can kind of feel it, and it's kind of like what you brought up one time, where you're kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, you wanna play right now, like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
see, I see what you're
yeah,
trying to do, and a
yeah,
lot of times now I can kind of laugh it off like that, where
yeah,
I'm like, I see where you're trying to go, and you're not going to affect me,
yeah, yeah.
um, but I've only been able to get there, and I know same for you. We've only been able to get there through, this practice we've had. One, just awakening to the realization of who we truly are, and then two, stuff like meditation and other things, just practicing mindfulness and like we were talking about, kind of going with the flow, living in the Tao, all of those different things that we've talked about before, being the being and not the mind.
Mhm.
Um, but it's like I said before, I still feel like there's steps I need to take, and I'm kind of doing that with the drinking thing. It's kind of
Mhm.
like another step deeper for me, if you will. But this goes back to the title of the video, right? Is like I think there is going to come a time where we're going to have to take certain steps if we really want to go further. And it's weird that I say that, because I know I brought up in the past that there's really nothing to do, right? It's like
Yeah.
you just need to realize the truth of who you truly are. And we've talked about that before. And that's it, really. It's there's really no books to read or lectures to listen to or a level to get to. It's almost more like peeling back all the layers you've built up, all the
Mhm.
layers that the mind is built up, and just kind of peeling those back and seeing truly what the being is and what it's always been. That's
Mhm.
more how I see it. I don't feel like it's a level to get to. Maybe it's more of a level to get back to,
Mhm.
of our true state of being. But anyway, with that being said, what I'm trying to say is I do think if we really want to live in that, there's going to come a time where we're going to have to take a step or multiple steps to differentiate ourselves from the rest of the world. Now, I don't think that means that we have to go live in a monastery in, the mountains or something like that. You could do that, and that could be a viable way of kind of retreating from the world and renouncing the world and things like that. But my whole point with the title of the video is I don't think you have to do that. I think you can still remain in this place, um, you know, being a family person, living the householder life, working a regular job, whatever that may look like for whoever you are. But still maintaining that conscious state of awareness, being the being, and um, you know, being separate from the rest of the world. Now, it may not look like you are to other people around you, but you are. And again, there may be some cases where it, in fact, does look like you are different compared to others around you. And that's kind of like one example of that is the drinking thing I'm bringing up, right? Where I know I'm in an environment where that's really socially acceptable, and it will look weird for me to not have a drink in a lot of the places I go to for different things, right? But I think it's one of those steps I need to take. I need to at least give it a shot, and that's part of like kind of in the world but not of the world.
Mhm.
It's definitely going to be hard, I feel like, but I don't know. What do you think about that? Like, do you feel like there will come a time where, if we really want to keep doing this and go deep with this, that we do kind of have to differentiate ourselves a little bit from uh, others around us?
Yeah, no, I do. I think as we progress and, like you said, trying to get further down that path, that there's things that we do to again, it's I mean, call it what it is. Alcohol is a drug, right? I mean, we use it to relax, to make us feel better. Again, and what I think it's really doing, it's slowing the train down, right? That's why it makes you feel better. Uh
Yeah.
and uh but that it's medicine. Well, yeah, I mean, even medicine, right? I mean, medicine can make you feel better, but you're not taking care of the problem necessarily, unless it's like penicillin or something that's you know beating something. But yeah, you're just taking things to just put band-aids on things. You know what I mean? And you're not dealing with it. Um, you know, you cut out drinking, it's going to eliminate a lot of things, and then also things that maybe you didn't realize. Maybe you know drinking was helping you, minutely, just deal with things, or maybe just relax a little bit more. Maybe just need a little bit of something. And but uh, yeah, get into this world. I think, yeah, there is going to come a time and it's already started, uh, to where you start to differentiate yourself, and you start to fall, and you start to become more conscious, and it just naturally takes you away from everything that you used to do. I think you becoming and trying to do things to be more, that's the social thing to do. It doesn't have as much water in the glass for you anymore. Who cares if they don't like me? It doesn't even matter anymore, right? Because you're not finding refuge in others anymore. You're finding refuge in yourself. So it's just, I could where I don't think where you'd become a recluse, but you don't look out anymore. You look in, even when you're out in the world. And yes, you are going to be very different, but also at the same time, yes, you will be very different, and friends are probably going to not hang around, as much, because, yeah, there were you were just like them, and they needed that, and they still need it, and they haven't found that path, but you're getting better, and they still want to continue the same path, and because that's all they know, right? They're still very, more on the unconscious side of things, and yeah, you're going to start distancing yourself, just like when you have kids, and your friend over there doesn't have any kids, and he's like, "Hey man, you want to go hang out on Friday? Yeah, let's go get tore up until like 2, 3." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, well, no, yeah, I ain't doing that." And it's
Right.
and then they'll just find other people to do that with, right? And it's not with you anymore. And yeah, sometimes, and you being on the receiving end, yeah, it kind of hurts sometimes. And it's like, man, we used to do that, and used to do that, and whatever. But you give it time and this and that, and it just, you kind of look back at it, and you're like, man, yeah, that was a fun time, but yeah, it really doesn't mean anything to me anymore. And I can see where drinking would be the same thing. It's just like, oh, that was just part of time in my life when I did that, and I really could care less about it now. And I can't. One thing, I used to smoke when I drank. You know, and man, I could. If I was drinking on a Friday night, man, I could put a pack down. And wake up in the morning like, oh my gosh, I just smoked a pack of cigarettes. Like, I feel sorry for my lungs.
Right.
But now, dude, I cannot stand the smell of smoke, and I can't even believe I did that. So I think, you talking about drinking, I think one day it's probably gonna, and I've thought about this, like, um, I could see where I'm gonna think the same way about alcohol as I do about cigarettes now. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And and you know, and some people might not want to go hang out with me anymore, because it's just like, oh, it when you're drinking and stuff, and you got that guy over there that's not drinking, you're like, oh well, he's a party bummer,
Right.
you want everybody to join in with the you want everybody to be sedated, and just get more, yeah, so yeah, you just distance. But when you were talking, I was thinking about this, and when you were talking at first, when you said um, being in this world, but you can still do this, and still get to that level. I was I would have said no in the very beginning, and then as you were talking, about 30 seconds in, as you were talking, and these trigger words, I was like, you know what, you can. I think you can, because look at the people, um, you know, Jesus or Buddha or Krishna. These guys, they didn't go. And maybe at one point in time they left for a little bit, but they were back, and they were in the world,
Yeah.
still in a totally enlightened state, and in such an enlightened state in this world, but not of the world, that they've been remembered for thousands of years. So yes, you can do it, because they did it, and they
Yeah.
didn't. They didn't leave the world. If they left the world, and you would have never heard of them. You know,
Yeah.
they chose to come back, and then the world couldn't affect them anymore. Now I would have to think more about that, and maybe there is something into where temporarily you leave, because you do hear about those things where they at some point in time of their enlightenment, they leave for a little bit, and then they come back,
Yeah.
and then
Exactly.
like they can't be phased by anything anymore, like they're like literally they're out from well, yeah, they're from out of this world, right? Because they're
Yeah.
not of the world. Like they're from this earth, but they're not from your world anymore. They're just here in your world, but they're not from your world anymore. And yeah, they're so yes, in the beginning, I would have said no. Because I think we've talked about this before. We were talking about like maybe you have to go to the mountain and that's where you have to stay. But
Yeah.
no, I don't think so. I don't think so. Because they did it. And if they did it, we can do it.
Yeah. Totally. And maybe, who knows, maybe one of these days we go leave for like a year and come back or something. And then,
Yeah, I'll dread it up.
right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, that's a good point you make. I didn't even think of that actually. I didn't think about those examples. And I mean, how could you not think of that? Those are like the greatest examples you could give. So, yeah, that's actually a really good point. Yeah, I've been thinking about it more, and reading about it more and stuff, and that's just how I feel. But yeah, I don't know if I have much more to say about it than that.
yeah.
You definitely hit the nail on the head with the examples you gave.
Yeah, yeah. No, well, it's very interesting, and man, I'm glad we could kind of joke about our anxiety attacks and stuff like that. Man, I
Yeah,
know I could go all night on the ludicrous of just all that stuff, man, and just looking back. But just like anybody else, when you're in it, it ain't funny at all. But man, once you get a hold of everything, and you're a little bit more in control, you kind of can't. You can look back and like, dang, man, you were messed up, bro. You were messed up. Like talking about yourself, like, dang, man,
yeah.
woo,
Like you were
woo,
gone, dude.
you were gone. You were gone. You were gone. Yeah, the world
Yeah,
had ate you up. Yeah. Yeah.
Go up and spit you out.
Yeah, he is spit you out, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true, and I'm glad we can make light of it now. And it is like when you're in the thick of it, it's a really serious thing, and it feels like you're gonna die for sure.
Yeah.
And it's really concerning. And then obviously no one else around you gets that same feeling, so they're all looking at you weird. But
Or they're just like, dude, just chill out.
yeah, just chill out, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, right. As if it's that easy. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad we can make light of it now and laugh about it now. And yeah, you're right. Once you get that behind you and it's been behind you for a few years or whatever, you're able to look at it in a different light. But my hope is that somebody else, hopefully watching this video will relate to some of our stories and realize that there is a way out. And I know we've talked about this before, but there is a way out. There is a natural way out. And even, if you have to use a band-aid to get you to a certain level, for a while temporarily or something like that, sometimes that's needed. Um, but I think in the long run, being able to do it naturally, that's really where it's at. And I feel I feel this is the way. I've lived it. I've recognized it. I've experienced it, and that's why we're here sharing these experiences and sharing our stories. Is because we've had this profound effect on our lives. Coming out of this darkness that we've been in, kind of into the light, if you will. And we just want to share that light with other people, because I know there are tons of people who feel this way. And there are a lot of people, especially men in our culture, who feel this way and don't talk about it. And it's a stigma to bring it up. It makes you look weak, you know. Oh, are you scared? You a pansy or the other P word, like
Yeah.
um, it's something that you just stuff down, you shove it in the closet and shut the door and don't talk about it. But again, that's not taking care of the problem, right? It's masking it. I'm sure, I know there's a lot of people that use alcohol to calm their anxiety and stuff like that.
And
So,
they and with that, I mean, they might not even know they're doing it. You know,
yeah,
that's the reason why they are doing it. They're just doing it, and they're like, "Oh no, I'm fine," but really they're not. So because
yeah,
I
it,
was
it
doing that.
takes it takes deep introspection to realize that you're not fine. And
Right.
that's the thing that quieting the mind and practices like meditation really do for you, is those things start to come to the surface and you realize, oh wow. Yeah, because it's unbeknownst to you beforehand, but then you
Mhm.
start to realize, oh wow, I was doing all that to suppress this thing or try to put a band-aid on this thing, and now I realize like what I've been doing all this time. And that, I mean, that's just suffering. You're perpetuating the cycle of suffering the longer that you stay in that state. So the sooner you can bring it to the surface and really deal with it, the better off you'll be. And I mean, it takes a lot of guts to do that. Again, especially in a culture like ours where um, it's not necessarily encouraged, which I think as a society we've gotten better about that over the years. I would definitely say, like in our parents' generation, you definitely did not talk about stuff like this. That was like, so I feel like it's gotten a little bit better over the years, but it's still at a point where it's like a stigma, and that's the reason why we're here doing these videos, is because we want to get rid of that stigma. We want to, you know, share our stories and let people know that, hey, it's okay to not be okay, and there is a way out. And that's what we're here to talk about.
Absolutely. I want to add one more thing before we head out.
Oh yeah, add all you want.
So
Yeah.
real quick, getting into all that stuff about the anxieties and if you're going through it. Um, you know what I had done, and this wasn't I wasn't even trying to make myself better this way. I didn't even know I was, but now looking back, it did help me. And so maybe you can try this at home, to taking infant steps to getting better. So like Matt had said, there isn't nothing wrong with maybe, putting a band-aid on some things to help you get through it, but you should be trying to mentally work on things as you're putting band-aids on. If you're just, oh, the anxiety attack happens, I take my my med or whatever you're taking, and now you mellow out, okay, I'm fine. No, you're not. You're masking it, and you're not dealing with the issue, you know and if you're not dealing with the issue, uh it can start to get more and more out of hand. Now you might have to up that dosage now because you're not working on it. So it's very important, if you want to be free and rid of it, you do need to start working on these tools, you know. But one thing that I did, and not saying it will work for everybody, but that the reason I had to do this, 'cause I didn't have insurance. And over here in the, where we're at, you ain't got insurance, you're paying a lot of money. And I didn't have a lot of money. So the first time I went to the doctor, that was at emergency room, and they gave me like 12 pills. And those were like low dosage, what was the anxiety medication? What's
Like
that?
Xanax or
Xanax?
something like
Yeah,
that.
Xanax. Yeah, it was like a low form of Xanax. And honestly, it's like, take, whenever you're having one, right? Or whatever. So I had like 10 or 12 of them. And then I had the bill that, it was like $3,500 of what I was about to have to pay.
Yeah.
Well, can't do that because I ain't got $3,500. So I told myself, okay, I've got 12 of these. I'm only going to take this if it gets super out of hand to where I'm about to call the ambulance. That is the only time I'm going to take these things. So by doing that, now again, I don't know, I just know I can't afford going to the hospital. I'm not trying to train myself or anything. I just trying to stay out of the damn hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what it did was it forced me to deal with the demons. Like, I would be in it. I couldn't run from it. And I'm not saying taking the medication is running from it, but in my sense, that's what it would have been. I would have taken it, and then I know I'd have been fine. And then I'm down to 11 pills. Well, I get down to that last one and I don't got no more. I'm back at the hospital again. So I would force myself, and it would be a bitch. And every day going through it, and there'd be worse days, better days, but I would not call, I just refused to take the pills unless I had to call the ambulance. And out of those 12 pills, man, out of that first bottle, I had to gone maybe a year and a half, 2 years before I got to the end of it.
Oh
And
wow.
that's how much I was like forcing myself, because I was like, I have to save these things. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it forced me to, like, I was, I wasn't dealing with it. I was just living in it,
Yeah.
and, which sucked, because back then I didn't have any tools. I didn't know what to do. So it's just, you're just going through it, but it forced me over time to start to build up these mental tools, and so I'm not saying somebody out there has got to do it like the way I did, but it is very important. If you're taking something, please be working on these mental tools, and do some research, do some readings on these things that we're talking about, and you know start to work yourself, uh to being stronger up here and within. And you will find it's not going to happen overnight. It could take a long time, but you're working your way there. And if you want to be free of medication, you can be that way. You don't have to be on medication for the rest of your life. You can sometimes you do research and it's saying, oh, if you got severe panic attacks, you're gonna be on medication for the rest of your life. Bullshit. It ain't real. So you don't have to be like this for the rest of your life. You don't have to be taking medication for the rest of your life. You don't have none of that. You can be 100% better and way better than you ever thought you could be. The purest form of yourself, nobody affecting you in the world. I mean, just you'll be happier in the end. But you got to work towards it. You just please, if you're just taking medication and you're not doing anything about it, you're not. I don't want to throw shade at anybody, you know what I mean? But I would say like
Yeah.
you do need to start working on some mental tools because it won't go away unless you start to do that, and it will go away, but you got to work towards it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, you have to be doing something to work on it and have some goal in mind of like, hey, I'm not trying to stay on this forever. This is just like you don't wear a band-aid forever, right? Like
Mm.
this is going to come off at some point, but the only way it comes off is if the wound under it has healed, and that has got to happen, and you got to do the work to get there. And hopefully, it's not going to be our videos alone. I would be uh, an egomaniac to think that, but hopefully our videos can help a little bit to kind of push people in the right direction, or maybe even just spark that idea in your mind of like, you know what, I never thought of that. I'm going to go look into stuff, in my own time. Even if you only watch like 10 minutes of one of our videos and it sparks an idea, that would be all I could ever ask for.
Hmm.
Um, that's all I'm here for. I just want to help people and motivate people on the path of healing. So I know it's the same for you. So
Yeah. Yeah, and if anybody's, for instance, if you're going through something, maybe there's something that's one of your main triggers, or you're trying to figure out how to get through something. Maybe it keeps happening, or something's causing it to happen, or you don't know what's going on. You don't have to. I don't know how the comments work, but I don't, put it in there. You don't put no name or anything else like that. Just put it in there, and we see it. We'll talk about it, and we'll go deep on it. Because chances are Matt or I have been through the same thing or very very similar. It's kind of funny with these anxiety attacks and these panic attacks and depression and stuff. It all they all are kind of pretty close on how it all works. So if one person's going through it, the other person over there's some, they link up somehow. There's likeness in between it. So if there's anything you're going through, yeah, and you're trying to answer questions or whatever, hey, that's why we're here to talk about it. And like Matt said, uh, it'd be awesome if, yeah, we could help more, and our words just like one day like, oh yeah, just listen to this video, it's just gonna make you all better. That'd be awesome. But maybe one day. But yeah, no, if it, like Matt said, if it could spark an idea or anything like that, man, just any, if you're going through something, that anything would help. So that's what we're here for. And yeah, we're here to help, here to talk about it, and again, here to try to help y'all find silence.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think that's going to about wrap it up for this video. It's been a really good talk. And again, any feedback or comments you want to leave, we're here for it. And yeah, most of the comments are going to be public, but maybe we can find a private way to exchange, you know, information or something like that to help somebody that maybe wants to talk in private, even if it came to that. So I guess my point is we're here for anything, and we're looking forward to doing another video next week. And Josh, you got anything else you want to say before we close it out?
No, sir. Just keep cool, and we'll be back next week.
Awesome. Well, you have a good week. Y'all have a good week, and we'll see you next time.
All right.